Good morning. This is Inazura Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, 25th March 2021. Right. 25th March 2021, Thursday. And talking to you again regarding professional issues, engineering issues, construction issues, title being civil, field engineering, designs, construction, methods, contracts, etc., and quality on top of that, which has very important points to be discussed, to be taken care of. This is in quality, designs, construction, method statements, time, cost, risks, reliability, analysis, synthesis, thinking, contemplation, application. Very important points to be raised and conferred with. Very important point to be conferred with. And these are important issues, very important issues we have to think of, we have to consider in our approach, and also buildings which are non-plant buildings, means which are not relevant to blast loading or blast issues, or in chemical areas which are not located in those areas but in administrative areas, storing areas, off sites, like those buildings, non-plant buildings. And this is, I talked about this last time, and various statements are included in that. Blinding concrete, concrete, we talked about this. Then we talked of reinforcement, cutting, bending and binding, placing. And we talked of then block work above grade level. And then we talked of about now I'm interested in talking about, you may say, let us consider block work first. It's also very important, though it's very ordinary item, but it's also responsible. We'll take into our consideration like this. Let us see this very normal, which we call very normal work, but very, very important work. Block works above grade level, we consider like this. Purpose of this statement is to define procedure that shall be adopted for construction of block works above ground level and upper floors. Got it. What we have to consider, all these points of quality, designs, construction, all that point we have to consider in this, and we should consider all that. Now, because it is block work, maybe it's not considered structural work. Indeed, it's not a structural work if these blocks are not load bearing. Generally blocks are used hollow, and there are certain strengths these blocks have, which we'll discuss. But objective of this statement is to define procedure that should be adopted for construction of block works above ground level or grade level and upper floors. Location is upper floors. That can be ground floor, first floor, second floor, or whatever it is. And reference document is specification section 5, whatever is in our contract, let us say. It doesn't mean for you it is 5. Now responsibilities regarding supervision, personnel on site shall be according to project approved quality plan. Every project must have some quality plan, and where responsibilities are defined, job description is defined, accountability is defined, technical accountability, where project manager or leader or engineer has to arrange all materials required. Don't just go on what I have written, because I'm just reading superficially and explaining. Project leaders, they arranges all materials required, such as concrete blocks, cement, washed sand, water, etc., and ensure that activity is carried out according to contract provisions or national standards or national specifications. And because I use this work, I use this writing for Qatar. So it's given in those times for Qatar National Building Specifications, or QCS, Qatar Civil Specifications. QCS and QVN is just for assessment. This sample one, it's not for you. As well as all quality procedures must be strictly adhered to. Now, project quality personnel or engineer shall control and supervise activity, making sure that work is done according to quality procedures. Quality procedures, ITPs, which means inspection and test plans, and proceed for company approval. Company means, organization, that is client or that's owner of project, or whatever company it is for whom we are working. And site man, site person, site agent or site engineer, who has to say site in charge, I should say, and delegates shall carry out site in charge, and you can say deputies, you may say, rather than saying delegates. Deputies shall carry out execution or prosecution of item physically according to direction given by project leader and quality engineer. Now, safety also is considered in all these statements and talks. That's very important point we have to think of, because safety is of paramount importance everywhere. Whatever we do, however we do, it's of paramount importance. Cannot be taken, cannot be taken for granted. It must be considered very seriously. Now, safety in charge may be an engineer or officer, or directly responsible to take care of safety, must implement all HSC, that's health, safety and environment precautionary measures. All persons involved shall be imparted toolbox talk, which I think you know what is toolbox talk, for activities concerned, and must use PPEs, personal protective equipment, as well as other required specific equipment. Whenever necessary, must make sure that at higher levels of work, proper scaffolding as well as access arrangements are made. Access to locations where work goes on. This is just in brief. I shall remind you about toolbox talk. Maybe you did not notice. What does toolbox talk mean? It is toolbox, and we talk about that. This means we don't talk about container of tools, but we talk about whatever is contained in that box, and that is called, for example, there's hammer, there is, you can say, claw hammer, there could be saw, there could be grinder, there could be screwdriver, or there could be, axe, there could be spade, there could be shade, shovel, hand shovel, or there could be, whatever electrical items, civil items, there could be trowel, there could be float, there could be straight edge, there could be, hacksaw, whatever tools we have to use on site for whatever tradesperson, whatever artisan, those cannot be explained one time, but item wise, work wise. It's duty of safety officer or safety in charge and foreman to let people understand every day what precautions they have to care about, and also that how to how to work on those tools. These can be electrical tools, these can be mechanical tools, for example jackhammer, for example hilti drill or something else which can cause problems. How should proper care be taken to use them safely so that person who uses them should not be unnecessarily strained? How these should be done ergonomically, because we care about HSC, this means HSE, and you can say another E, because environment and ergonomics are related. How, whatever energy person uses must be contained in for project properly. That energy should not go waste, and that person must not feel strained, stressed, fatigued. That's basic requirement. And all body parts should be safe. Eye should be safe, nose should be safe, ear should be safe, hands should be safe, and there should be no untoward accident. That's what's purpose of toolbox talk is. Very important talk, though it may take just 5 to 10 minutes every day, not more than that. If you just conduct a group of 5 or 6 or 10 in one talk, so on an average, if say you conduct 10 minutes, so 1 minute or 2 minutes are taken by one person's teaching or learning. So let's go to, then you can say PPEs, very important items, personal protective equipment, safety shoes and hard hats, ears, and you can say goggles or safety glasses or harness, overalls. These are all general gloves, hand gloves. You can say these are very important items which you have to use, you have to wear all the time. Other than this, there will be more items which depend on what activity has been going on or shall be done. So we will talk on safety measure, all these when we consider safety. I know safety is very important point. So the material hollow blocks, I say in this case, hollow blocks shall be used for this work. That is what is, because this is hollow block work. And what are hollow blocks? This is blocks 200 mm wide, 8 inches wide, and you need blocks, and you need just concrete blocks, of course, and you need cement, coarse sand, water, wall ties, cavities. Catnic is written because we used Catnic trade, Catnic company produced. Then cavity ties. Also, Catnic we used expanded polystyrene, that is 50 thick, polythene sheets, all according to specifications. So we repeat, blocks, that's concrete blocks, hollow block, 200 wide, and of course in each block there are two cavities, we will discuss. Then cement, of course, cement is ordinary cement. It can be other cement also, depending on design. Then coarse sand or dust, stone dust. Coarse sand can be used, which is pit sand. This is not globular, but in angular and interlocked one. Then you can say water, of course, construction water, and wall ties. Wall ties means one wall ties where you can say this block work is connected to structural columns, that is called wall ties, and also cavity ties when there are two skins in block wall, external wall. For example, external wall has two walls, one is 200 mm, internal wall is 100 mm, and there could be a gap of 50 mm in between for cavity walls. So they are used cavity ties. Cavity ties located cross to these two walls. These connect to skins of walls, external skin and internal skin. And in difference in space between two 50 mm, expanded polystyrene is infilled, and also polythene sheet if specified. So this is general material description in hollow blocks. Now we'll discuss the strength also. Now notice concrete blocks testing prior to include on permanent use. When I say permanent use means for permanent existence, permanent inclusion, can't be withdrawn from the, yes, if it is temporary work, for example, you construct cement stove or you construct some other toilet or you construct something else which meant only for temporary work which can be taken out later. So that is different. I'm not talking about that. There are different types of blocks you can use them. Now here we're talking concrete blocks testing prior to include on permanent use. When we are going to use permanently, before using, this must be tested, etc. So to conform to specification requirements, blocks, when I'm saying blocks, this means hollow blocks, concrete blocks. To conform to specification requirements, blocks shall be sent for testing to material testing laboratory. That's this procedure. To conform to specification requirements, blocks shall be sent for testing to material testing laboratory. How many blocks you have to send? Generally 10 or 12. You have to say 12 blocks is standard one, but it's up to you, not less than that. Now to conform to specification, project leader representative shall collect sample for blocks comprising 12 numbers for each sample, 11 or 12, let us say 12. Use of blocks shall commence with after. Use of blocks shall commence only after blocks qualify compression test results. Compression test results. We will test compression. We will test block in machine of compression and find results. A compression test, compressive strength will be calculated, has to be calculated based on projected area of block and not by net concrete plan area. Very important point. When I'm talking a hollow block, we may say hollow block is not 100% surface concreted. There are voids, two cavities in each block, which is about 50%. You may say about certain thickness of that walls of cavity. So there are, you can say, 5 walls in that block. One is in middle, one on each end, and longitudinally, structure-wise, 2 walls. So 5 walls exist in hollow block. There is projection size is 400 into 200 according to size, let us say, and we test that one. So for example, 400 into 200 is area, 400 mm into 200 mm area, that is 800, 100, 400, 200, 800, 100, 800, 100. That is mm square. What we do? We test it. Whatever result we get from machine, that is total strength of block. That is not concrete strength. That is strength of block. Strength of block. And that strength has to be divided by area of projection, that is 400 into 200, that's 800, 100, 80,000. 80,000 mm square. You can say means block strength is equal to compressive load which we get from machine divided by area of block projection area, that is whatever 400, 800, 100, we have to divide by this area, and we can say this is strength of block area wise. It's not concrete strength. When we define strength of block, we say this is 7 Newton per mm square or this is 9 Newton per mm square, which means this is not concrete grade, but this is projected area strength grade. It's either 7 Newton per mm square, or it's 9 Newton per mm square, or maybe 30 Newton, whatever specified, that must be taken care of. So do not confuse when we say strength of block and you say grade of concrete, both are different issues. So we'll go further and see how it works. Let us see how it's working. It is see, okay, it's fine. 87% now. Okay. We'll go further and see. I understand that you got what I meant by block. Now, what is method, let us say? I explained so far fundamentals of block work. Now, what's method? It's an important point. Block be saturated? Of course, you have to keep them saturated with water. Block be saturated with water prior to placing on walls. Dry blocks shall not be used due to fact that water from mortar must not be absorbed by blocks. Immediately before placing to location, water could be sprinkled as well. Got it? Do not use dry blocks. Important point is that you have to water it, you have to saturate it so that block does not take water from water. It doesn't absorb from water. And immediately before placing to location, water should be sprinkled on block as well as location. In case of foundations, only solid SRC, sulfate resisting concrete, cement blocks shall be used. If you are going to use in foundations, do not use first of all OPC block. You have to use only SRC and solid too, because in foundations solid blocks are used, or you have to fill all cavities either by solid blocks or fill by cavities. And in case of solid block, which of course there's a handling problem, but in foundations that's used. Hollow blocks may also be used provided post-laying cement concrete of equivalent grade would be filled into hollow volumes. As I said, hollow blocks may also be used provided post-laying cement concrete of equivalent grade would be filled into hollow volumes. Now, surveyor shall set out relevant line on beams or slabs. Surface to receive block work shall be cleared of all dust, dirt and oily material. Very simple it is. Surveyor has to set out certain relevant line on beams or slab. Surface to receive block work shall be cleared of all dust, dirt and oily material. Prior to commencing block work, concrete surface shall be made to required level and profiled by mortar laying adjustment, so that preferably whole number of block courses are formed. Again, prior to commencing block work, concrete surface shall be made to required level and profiled by mortar laying adjustment, so that preferably whole number of block courses are formed. Mason or block builder, you can say, block layer. Mason shall establish course profile line. Course means layer of block. mason shall establish course profile line using string and label. String, thread, string and label. We are also called line door, we call that. And label, letting string pass around and control blocks. Correct? And blocks are here, and that string is tied for purpose of profile construction, profile formation, using the string and letting string pass around and blocks. Wall ties shall be fixed to RCC columns as required by short firing or concrete nails at every fourth course. Concrete nails is just in case you don't have short firing, but best is short firing gun, which may use bullets, steel bullets. So wall ties shall be fixed to RCC columns at every fourth course of block and shot fired using bullets or shot fired to concrete walls or column. Then now what I'm talking is mortar. That's mixing of mortar. 1:3, 1 part cement, 3 part coarse sand, or whatever your specification speaks, whatever your specification demands, you have to do that. That is mixing of mortar 1:3. Mortar layer requires be laid on formation and leveled. Mortar layer shall be laid on formation and leveled. As we talked before, mortar shall be mixed using a small concrete mixer on site. Mortar mixing shall be done using a small mixer on site. Sand and cement be piled up nearby mixer. Means we keep sand near mixer. A timber measuring box shall be used to ensure that 1:3 ratio is maintained for dry mixing of cement and sand respectively. You can use volume generally, or if you have designed a machine, generally we use volumes because it's very small quantity. We don't go to batching plant for everything, and even if you take from batching plant, they will give you dry mix only. So I think it's practical to be volume measured, and you can see measuring box can be used, which is about 1 cement bag, for example. This could be 30 centi by 30 centi by 36.5 something, or you can say 1 foot into 1 foot into 1.25 foot. That is one cement box volume, and this is timber box or can be some other box. It's durable one, but it should be in line to 1 cement bag, which is 50 kilogram, and that I show is practical one. So you can say timber is very heavy, or you can use steel box, or you may use some other box. It depends. So timber measuring box shall be used for 1:3 ratio. Now dry washed sand be poured into mixer, keeping drum rotating, and then cement added gently. When both materials show a uniform color of dry mix, required quantity of water shall be added into drum. Required quantity means if you are making mix of 1 bag of cement, which is 50 kilogram, and you say its ratio should be 0.25 because this is dry mix. It's not very wet mix. Or you can say we generally use in concrete 0.35 to 0.4. We can use 0.25 to 0.3 depending on how do you want to do. It's semi-dry mix, or generally you may use 0.3 or 0.35. Well, means you just add water to this mixer. When uniform color of dry mix is achieved, and go on gently adding this water into drum of mixer. When both materials show a uniform color of dry mix, required quantity of water shall be added into drum. Mixing shall be allowed for a minimum period of 3 minutes to produce quantity of more mortar surface to be consumed within 1 hour. Mixing shall be allowed for a minimum period of 3 minutes to produce quantity of mortar sufficient to be consumed within 1 hour. Laying of block courses. Laying of block courses. Now we're talking of. Laying of block courses. First layer shall be laid to establish profile. First layer shall be laid to establish profile on concrete surface with widthwise. First layer we are going to use first one on ground floor. First layer to be laid on established profile on concrete surface widthwise, keeping block structure parallel to wall, giving 10 to 12 mm gap for mortar filling. 10 to 12 mm gap. Mortar shall be filled into gaps using mason trowel. Mortar shall be filled into gaps using mason trowel. And whole course or mortar shall be laid over whole course. Whole course means no space left. 10 to 12 mm thick, uniformly spread and leveled. Blocks shall be kept on bottom layer gently so that joint of both are staggered. Joints of both are staggered. Blocks shall be cut square if required. You want to cut blocks, cut square, don't just break it. Cut blocks shall be either procured as such or side cutting be done mechanically only. No hammer cutting is approved. Again I say, block shall be cut square if you have to cut it, or you procure cut blocks as you like. Cut blocks are also available. Cut blocks can be procured, or side cut shall be done mechanically. No hammer cutting shall be allowed. Mortar shall be filled into joints as well as on top surface, lined and level. It should be filled completely without leaving any void. Similarly, further this layer shall be formed. Not more than 5 layers shall be constructed in one day. Means no more than 1 meter. One layer is 20 or 200 mm. Not more than 5 layers to be constructed in one day. All layers to be true to vertical and horizontal profile. Vertical profile and horizontal profile, all layers shall be truly horizontal and truly vertical, within tolerances of course. A gap of 12 to 20 mm to be filled later with compressed filler board to be left between wall top and beam soffit or slab soffit in non-suspended ceiling areas. Your block should not touch surface of RCC at top. Top of wall should be free of touch of concrete beam soffit or slab soffit, and that portion should be filled with compressed filler. 12 to 20 mm gap to be filled later with compressed filler board, and that gap is left between wall top and beam or slab soffit in non-suspended ceiling areas. 20 mm gap 12 to 20 mm gap should be left on top of wall. That is, the full load should not come on this wall. It should be free for movement. Of course, it is connected to vertical members, that is columns or walls. Now, wall surface shall be cleared using wire brush. Wall surface shall be cleaned using wire brush to take off all mortar peels and protrusions. All joints shall be well surfaced and troweled racked into. All joints shall be well surfaced and troweled racked into. You have to trowel these joints, making joints good enough to receive plaster or rendering. All joints to be well surfaced and trowel racked, R-A-K-E-D, racked into, making joints good enough to receive plaster rendering. Block cavities at corners, junctions and column ties. Block cavities at corners, junctions and column ties should be filled with concrete. Got it? There are blocks touching, columns or corners, if not columns, wall corners or crossings or junctions. Column ties shall be filled with concrete. There are cavities, you can say, of block at these junctions or corners or columns. You have to fill them with concrete. You cannot leave them hollow because of reason being ties you have placed in, and it should be corner or such locations must be filled in. If all block wall cavities are not to be filled in. Now, next day, if required for further block layer, previous layer shall be cleaned well, previous layer, further operation carried out, and curing for bottom layers done by spraying water from sides. Curing shall be carried out to make sure that all mortar is cured to a minimum 3 days. Now let's say cavity walls. Cavity walls. Both inner and outer skin walls shall be raised simultaneously. Not that I have raised the external half and internal quarter or full half. No, not like that. Because we have to fill in cavity ties. Both inner and outer skin walls shall be raised simultaneously. Expanded polystyrene and polythene sheet as vapor barrier shall be inserted between these skin walls. Correct? Expanded polystyrene and polythene sheets as vapor barrier shall be inserted between these skin walls. Cavity ties shall be embedded into mortar layers. Cavity ties shall be embedded into mortar layers, placed perpendicular to wall axis, sloped towards outer skin, at a spacing of 900 mm horizontally as well as 600 mm vertically. So every third layer is cavity ties, and distance between them is 900 mm, you can say 2.5 block. Care shall be taken not to permit any mortar falling into cavity. Cavity should be free of mortar. No mortar should be there in cavity. Now, what are major equipments? Mechanical machine to mix, a mechanical mixer, sand measuring box, hand tools likewise. This was about concrete block, and we have to understand that we talked of quality here, quality of material, quality of safety, quality, of course, safety has not been discussed in this, but we'll discuss. And testing, we discussed of reliability, and quality is main in this case discussed with. So what we discuss is, we have to understand that. Then we can say here safety is also given. I think we measured safety. Yes, this was discussed about HSC ergonomics, so we discussed that one. Only point here I have to discuss is, which we missed, is that wall is not done is done only in one floor, and you can say you just keep certain drums. Generally what we do is keep certain drums, reverse, and put on them some planks, timber planks, so people stand on them, some plates, stand on that and work not more height of 2 meters, because generally the room is around 3 meters height. So we keep this 1.5 meter high, and person is also 1.5 meter high. So generally it reaches the top, and in case some scaffolding is required, masons scaffolding to call it, masons scaffolding or steel scaffolding, pipe scaffolding, that can be installed there. And I think this doesn't kind of risk. Even if person falls from 1 meter height, it's not going to be fatal. And this is ordinary safety, you can say. Means you work within room, so heat is not an issue. Of course, wind could be an issue if this is not done. Then you can say hygiene, housekeeping is an important issue. So those must be taken care. And of course, you can say mortar should not go to eyes, so you may use safety glasses. Of course, other PPs are there, of course, and also we go to you can say, what is that? Now we talk of plastering and rendering block walls and RCC surfaces. Block walls and RCC surfaces. That's plastering and rendering. Plastic and rendering. You may say, what is plastering and what is rendering? What's the difference? Yes, everybody has a right to ask. Plastering is general, which is used, this term is applied to internal plaster. Simple. And plaster is exposed to external agencies like weather, sun, rain. That's called rendering. Sorry. Plastering is a general term which is applied for internal plaster, internal surface protection, while externally we apply rendering term. Purpose of this statement is to define procedure that would be adopted for plastering and rendering block walls and RCC surfaces together. Block walls and RCC surfaces together. Rendering applies to external surface While plastering applies to internal surface, just keep in mind plaster is ordinary and rendering is external. Documents are specifications and contract documents, and we know that. Now, responsibilities, as we said before, responsibilities regarding supervising personnel on site shall be according to project approved quality plan, which every site must get. If not, then you define yourself who's responsible for what. Project leaders shall arrange all material required, such as cement, plaster, sand, water, etc., and ensure activity is carried out according to contract and national as well as other specifications, applicable specifications. All quality procedures must be strictly adhered to. Quality is important here. Project quality in charge shall control and supervise activity, making sure that work is done according to quality procedures and inspection and test plans, and proceed for company approval. Finishing engineer, foreman, finishing engineer, I'm using specific term for finished items because structural engineer is not here. Finishing engineers or maybe a person who is experienced on finishing items would carry out executive work or execution of item physically according to direction given by project leader as well as quality leaders. Now safety. Safety engineer or safety in charge monitor and implement all HSE or health, safety, environment, ergonomics, environmental precautions. All persons involved, all crew involved shall be imparted toolbox stock for activities concerned and use personal protective equipment as well as other required specific equipment whenever necessary. Shall make sure that at higher levels of work, proper scaffolding as well as access arrangements are made. Scaffolding at higher level is very important point. Then you can say access, how to access there. If there is no access, you have to provide access, and that can be done by not by access ladder but by stepped ladder for temporary use. And if required, scaffolding should be structural one because for external activities, external renders are also for internal. If there's a height more than that, so scaffolding is required, and safe scaffolding is scaffolding that won't go out. And also if required, externally we can use shading so that we will not impact upon sun, heat, green showers. That shading you can say can be tied up. Install, you can say. Of course, there may be safety glass, there may be other protection, whatever is required, ordinary protection in this case. Of course, they have to use regular routine PPEs like hard hat, like safety shoes and others. Now, material, dominant material here is cement, plaster, sand, water, furring and leading. Furring and leading means internal galvanized steel, external stainless steel generally. For internal areas you can say furring and lathing, laths, you can say laths and mats. Furring and lathing can be of internal, for internal purpose GI, galvanized steel GS, and for external purpose stainless steel as this is a channel depending on internationally you can say lathing is important, I can say furring and lathing, but I think here we don't do it. Well, I won't say it can't. It should be done in interest of job. Then you can say what's method is now. Method. Preparation of backgrounds to be plastered or rendered. Preparation of backgrounds to be plastered or rendered. All surfaces to be plastered. All surfaces to be plastered or rendered must be thoroughly cleaned of all dust and loose particles. Cleaned off all dust and loose particles probably by hardware brush, all bituminous and water repelling agents. All bituminous and water repelling agents should be removed if present on surface. Any coal tar, bituminous or water repelling agents. Okay, this is very much clear. So, concrete surfaces would be scabbled. Concrete surfaces means RCC surfaces, columns or beams, if or walls, whatever is concrete, must be scabbled or hackled, you can say. Concrete surfaces shall be scabbled by mechanical means, not by hammer. I can say the small hammer is called scabbler. So concrete surfaces shall be scabbled by mechanical means to remove all latins exposing aggregates to 3 mm depth. You know, latins means water, cement and sand paste type. Latins, concrete surfaces to be scabbled by mechanical means to remove all latins exposing aggregates to 3 mm depth. Contractor or company inspection, conduct inspection, that's it. For approval of prepared surface, inspection is conducted and surface is approved. Now, slurry coat consisting of 400 kg cement white to 1 cubic meter of sand. That's slurry coat, 400 kg of cement to 1 cubic meter of sand, white silica as specified, be applied on surface by trowel and 1 day allowance given for succeeding coat to commence with. But before this, we must have prepared our surfaces using expanded metal laths and expanded metal mats, which are also very important. I should have told you, but that's only procedure is a plastering and not surface preparation. So surface is prepared means you have to use expanded beads, which beads we call corner bead, we call U bead, we call U-shaped bead, and you can say meshes are there. Meshes are included sometimes not. So we can say mesh is used where different surfaces exist like RCC surface and block surface. And of course, some electrical conduit passing through wall that must also be mesh provided on that. And where we have to stop plaster on top near slab or above false ceiling, that U-shape must be fixed, U-shaped bead must be fixed. So U-shaped beads or corner beads, or angle bead, depending on requirement, you have to where you terminate your plaster. Their corner bead can be placed in such a way that these boards won't be visible after plaster grinding is done. So we have to prepare surface very accurately, and then we can say slurry coat consisting of 400 kg. Whatever slurry coat you have to define this, 400 kg cement, 1 cubic meter of sand, white silica actually, as specified, officers shall be applied on surface by trowel and 1 day allowance given for succeeding coat to commence with. And here it's not done like that, here people do differently. Now, block work surfaces shall have joints racked out. Block work surfaces shall have joints racked out as specified during construction. Junctions of different background and chases for electrical conduits as well as other service pipes be treated by fixing approved 200 mm wide metal lath, as I discussed already. Plastering shall not commence until all mechanical and electrical services, conduits, pipes and first stage fixtures have been installed and approved. First stage fixtures we have. So plastering shall not commence until all mechanical and electrical services, conduits, pipes and first stage fixtures, boxes, you can say electrical, say not switch panels, boxes have been installed and approved, boxes have been installed, wire conduits have been installed, and whatever connections, fittings, all have been installed and approved. Where rendering of plasters to be continuous, across backgrounds of different types. A strip of metal lath, minimum 300 mm wide, with an isolating membrane of polythene sheet or building paper behind be fixed across junction, where again I repeat, where rendering or plaster requires to be continuous across backgrounds of different types like arcillary surface and blockwork or some other material. A strip of metal lath, minimum 300 mm wide, with an isolating membrane of polythene sheet or building paper located behind, shall be fixed across junction. Where small widths of one material less than 300 mm wide are involved, namely a concrete column, beam or slab dividing block panels, then width shall be bridged completely for a distance of 150 mm on both ends. Metal lath shall be stretched out, fixed along each edge at 100 mm centers. Metal lath shall be stretched out, fixed along each edge at 100 mm center using steel fasteners such as washers and short fire pins, nails or screws, and lap joints tied with galvanized wire. Screws fixed into plugs in pre-drilled holes if so required. I repeat, metal lath shall be stretched out, fixed along each edge at 100 mm center using steel fasteners such as washers and short fire pins, short fire pins, nails and screws, and lap joints tied with galvanized wire, screws fixed into plugs in pre-drilled holes if so required. Metal lath shall not be provided where drawing shows a groove in rendering or plaster. In case architectural is required, you have to provide groove in plaster render. Metal lath at that location shall not be provided. Now fixing beads and stops. Important, very important. Fixing beads and stop. Beads, stops, and like. Beads and stops and like. Be fixed plumb, vertical, square 90 degree, and true to line with clout nails, clout nails or plaster taps, locations or thickness indicating profile formation units. Plaster taps at not more than 600 mm center to each mesh wing. So it says, what are that? Beads, stops, plaster beads or angle bead, you can say expanded bead, expanded stops, etc. shall be fixed. Plumb, vertical, square, orthogonally and true to line, clout nails or plaster taps at not more than 600 mm centers to each mesh wings. corner angle beads, corner angle bead, that's called, we use corner angle bead at all openings as well as plaster ground stops. Plaster ground stops at terminals shall be installed by using steel fasteners, plaster profile dots. You can say, I said corner angle beads at all openings as well as plaster ground stops at terminals shall be installed by using steel fasteners. Plaster profile dots shall be found on surfaces. Plaster profile dots shall be found on surfaces. All these activities, all given activities shall be carried out under contractor's inspector, contractor's quality responsible person. Company inspection be conducted, okay, right. So these 3 points must be taken care of. Beads, stop sector fixing, corner beads fixing, plaster profile dots, and these be carried out now. Preparation of mixing for plaster and material. We have here slurry coat as defined, which is spread by rotating mix machine, rotating spreader machine, not directly as we do here. It's not that way. There's a standard way that slurry coat is to be sprinkled on surfaces. And there's equipment which we rotate it and it automatically spreads that sprinkling coat. Slurry coat, 400 kg cement, 1 cubic meter sand. Then base coat, that's 3 kg cement. We increase quantity of cement in other coats. Slurry coat is a little, lean. Less cement, more cement, and in this case less cement, 300 kg cement. Base coat with 50 kg lime, 300 kg cement, some 1/6 of lime, 50 kg lime. So total is 350 kg. And 1 cubic meter sand, so block cement 1200 kg. So finished coat, that is 300 kg cement, 10 kg lime, 1 kg sand, 1 cubic meter sand, 900 kg. So that's 3 basics for reservoir, plaster and so cement in slurry coat is higher, base coat is lower, that's less than the 1 kilogram. 50 kg lime is added in base coat and 10 kg lime is added in finishing coat. Because less lime in exposed coat, because lime can be dissolved by water. So in between slurry coat and finished coat, we are using enough lime, 50 kg with 300 kg cement. Plaster thickness. Plaster thickness. Now, whatever your drawings and specifications speak about, total thickness could be 15 mm internal, or you say in general when you use brickwork, 12 to 15 mm is of course acceptable. And externally 20 mm is acceptable. The question is hydrated lime. Hydrated lime shall first be thoroughly mixed with sand. Hydrated lime shall be mixed thoroughly with sand and then cement added. Lime and sand mixed thoroughly and then cement quantity added, keeping mixer on until material is uniform in appearance, suitable to receive water, which at this stage be added in sufficient quantity to produce mixed stuff workable, uniform in color and consistency. To improve workability of mix, hydrated lime, sand, and water may first be mixed in the required proportion with allowance to stand undisturbed. For at least 16 hours before mixing with cement. Very important point. To improve workability of mix, hydrated lime, sand, and water, hydrated lime, sand, and water may first be mixed in required proportion with allowance to stand undisturbed for at least 16 hours before mixing with cement. If allowed to stand for a longer period, ingredients mix must be protected from drying out. Whole batch used within an hour of being mixed. Mixing of semi-dry mortar. Now it was wet mortar. Let's talk of semi-dry mortar. Mortar layer shall be laid on formation and leveled. Mortar layer shall be laid on formation and leveled. Mortar shall be mixed using small concrete mixer on site. Sand, lime, and cement shall be piled up nearby. A timber measuring box used to ensure that required ratio is maintained for dry mix of cement and sand respectively. Dry washed sand be poured into mixer, keeping drum rotating, and then cement added gently, followed by hydrated lime. First, dry washed sand, pour into mixer, keep drum rotating, and then cement added gently, followed by hydrated lime. When added materials show a uniform color of dry mix, required quantity of water shall be added into drum to produce semi-dry mortar. Mixing shall be allowed for minimum period of 3 minutes. 3 minutes to produce quantity of mortar sufficient to be consumed within 1 hour. So this is mixing. I repeat, mortar shall be mixed using small concrete mixer, sand, lime and cement shall be piled up and then measured. After that, dry washed sand be poured into mixer, followed by mixer keep drum rotating, kept rotating, cement added gently followed by hydrated lime, and then mixer shows we keep mixing on, and then this shows uniform color of dry mix. Required quantity of water be added into drum to produce semi-dry mortar. Mixing shall be allowed for minimum period of 3 minutes to produce quantity of mortar sufficient to be consumed within 1 hour. Application of various plaster render coats. Application of various plaster render coats. Application of various plaster or render coats. Work shall not start until background has been prepared, which we talked of before. All services have been finished according to requirement and relevant specifications as described earlier. Slurry coat for proper adhesion shall be towel adhesion. What? Adhesion between surface to be plastered and this material. Slurry coat for proper adhesion shall be towel applied, allowing at least 1 day to start succeeding coat. It can be towel applied or it can be machine applied. You can apply both way. Two plaster or render coats applications shall be carried out. Before applying a coat, background of preceding coat shall be brushed down to remove all loose materials, all loose particles, and dampened sufficiently to ensure uniform absorption. First coat shall be towel applied either by laying on with or throwing from a towel or float as uniformly thick as possible, not less than 8 mm or more than 13 mm thick. In any part, scored to form a key for second or final coat, allowing at least 1 day before start of next coat. So towel applied or float applied, first coat in uniform thickness approximately as much as possible, not less than 8 mm, not more than 13 mm. After application of this, score it to form key. Score it to form key for second or final coat, allowing at least 1 day before start of next coat. During this application, care be taken to make sure that material is well worked into lats for proper embedment. Do not leave mortar there, be completely applied so that lats are embedded completely. This coat shall be left rough and open by edge of trowel. After it has been long enough to set firm, be combed with evenly spaced wavy horizontal lines, approximately 20 mm apart and 5 mm deep. Less in case of first coat on metal lathing. First coat applied to metal lathing shall be well worked into lath to ensure that material is completely embedded. Finishing coat shall be steel trowel applied. Finishing coat shall not be less than 5 mm or more than 10 mm thick, not less than 5 mm, not more than 10 mm. Be laid on with a trowel and finished with a steel float, taking care not to overwork surface. All coats be applied with firm pressure to exclude air and to ensure a good bond. Plaster shall be rodded and straightened to uniform surfaces in true plane. Plaster shall be rodded and straightened to uniform surfaces in two planes. Lapse of one coat shall not occur over lapse of preceding coat. Lapse of one coat shall not occur over lapse of preceding coat means lapse of coat should be not on same point. Each coat shall finish free from cracks. Jacks or other structural defects. Finished surfaces shall be flush with grounds, stop beads. Finished surfaces shall be flush with ground or stop beads, corner beads, outlet boxes, and similar details, free from trowel marks, free from other blemishes, displaying straight arises and true angle. All coats shall be prevented from drying out too quickly and work to be carried out in shade during hot period. All renderings shall be protected from sun by properly constructed Hessian or similar net shade screen during hot period hours. Each coat shall be kept damp by means of a fog spray of water for a minimum 3 days to allow before a subsequent coat is applied, or in case of a finished coat, before protective screens are removed. Surface of finished coat shall be smooth, true and free from waviness, irregularities or blemishes with straight, level or plumb angles. External angles shall be pencil rounded. And you can say each coat shall become damp for 3 days to allow before a subsequent coat is applied, or in case of a finished coat before protective skins are removed. Surface of finished coat shall be smooth, true and free from waviness, irregularities or blemishes with straight level or plumb angles. External angles shall be pencil rounded. External angles. Care be taken when rendering up to beads or stops to avoid excessive polishing at errors and damage to galvanizing. All activities shall be carried out under quality in charge. Inspections for company approval shall be requested, and we can use equipment like mechanical mixer, sand measuring box, hand tools, and attachments are checklist. And so you can say that this is very important. Yeah. If I go for 5 minutes and come back as usual, just a minute, please. You can read this meanwhile. It's very important point. Everybody should read this. It's no joke. It's the plaster, but it's big quantity, and it's a layer, protective layer. If it's not doesn't work fine, how can it protect other layers? That's one you must understand. Sorry, gentlemen. Just read it for yourself. It is for 5-10 minutes. I'll be back. Sorry, just a little delay because of some reason. No problem, I'll back here. And application you must have gone through. I'm sure you must have gone through that application, and well, I understand you must have gone through that. Now I'm just going to roofing system. Before that, we'd like to talk of this quality. We talked a lot about block work, about plastering and rendering, about preparation of surfaces of plaster, rendering, about experiment fixing, galvanized or stainless steel. We talked of slurry coat, we talked of base coat, we talked of finishing coat, slurry, base and finishing coats. We talked of thicknesses, 12 to 15 and 20, and these are specifications, requirements, and mixing of quality, laying quality, and what design says, what ratio says, and this all construction, and whatever were given were methods of those construction, and safety issues related to that. Now we go to another item that's also very significant one, and that is roofing system. Roofing is, of course, very good, reliable work, which we can say protects your roof slab from water penetration, which protects your roof slab from insulating heat, and also thermal transmission, you can say, and proper drainage of rainwater, allowance, you can say, and if it is accessible, users can go to roofing, and also if roof is not accessible, in that case only maintenance crew look after services of machines kept on roof, like chillers, air handling units for air conditioning, HVAC, or electrical, or some copper chillers, pipes, or these days also solar panels installations, water tanks installations, and whatever else is required, this roof used for, all are considered. Purpose of this statement is to define procedures that could be adopted for application of roofing system. Specifications are available. It's your specifications. I don't want to talk on that, because what I'm going to do is very standard specification, and it's generally used at international level. Responsibilities, as usual, quality plan you have to refer to find who is responsible for what job descriptions for someone says. Then project leaders have to arrange required materials directly or through subcontractors, and this activity can be carried out. It can be carried out through vendors, or you can do yourself. But issue is warranty of roofing system. And specifications are to be complied with, which are given. You can say they are standard specs. Quality procedures they are available, or you can define. So project leader arrange all materials required through subcontractor to ensure that activity is carried out according to contract and contract specifications, as well as all quality procedures are strict adhered to. project quality responsible lead shall control and supervise activity, making sure that work is done according to quality procedures and ITPs, that stands for inspection and test plans, and proceed for company approval. Finishing engineer or finishing in charge shall carry out execution of item physically shall supervise physically according to direction given by project leaders and quality leaders. Issue of safety. Safety officers or in charges have to monitor, implement all HSC and environmental procedures. All persons involved be imparted toolbox stock for activities concerned and use PPEs as well as other required specific equipment whenever necessary, and make sure that higher level of works, proper scaffolding as well as access requirements of necessary measures will be applied to safety risks. So this is actually on roof, and parapet must be ready, there should be no chances to fall, and it can't be without that. So if there is no parapet, it's not very high, and you have to roof, in that case you have to take care people should not fall from a small parapet. If parapet is 1 meter more, it's okay, fine. And if it's not, it's some small 1 or 2 layer or 20-30 centimeter beam, in that case we must take care that all activities on roof must be safe, people should not fall. Now cement, what says cement material is cement. We can say this is material chapter. Now material is cement, plaster, sand, not plaster, cement, plaster, sand, water, foaming agent, polystyrene, geotextile, terram, waterproofing membrane, depending on requirement, whether torch applied or cold applied, paver, lime chips, aluminum flashing, all items according to approvals and according to drawings. And also agency, applicator, you can say applicator, we call it specialist contractor, applicator or vendor, specialist approved subcontractor be engaged for this system application. What's method? Roofing system shall be carried out to following operational sequences. Concrete surface shall be scabbled mechanically, that is roof concrete slab surface. Concrete surface shall be scabbled mechanically, or if approved by organization, company may be acid etched to remove latency. Generally acid etched is avoided and scabbling is okay. On existing RCC suspended slab, all large foundations, if required, to mount whatever air conditioning and electrical equipment, water tank, LPG tank, and others shall be constructed prior to commence roofing system operation. A groove shall be formed. Groove shall be formed around periphery of area on pad foundations. A groove shall be formed around periphery of area on pad foundations and other upstands at a specified height from slab level for tugging waterproofing membrane. Tugging in. Waterproofing membrane edge has to go into that groove. Into parapet with sealant applied over. Got it? Means if groove is not available, you have to make one groove in upstands as well as on plinth foundations or pad foundations, and that which we have to provide that waterproofing membrane must go or tubbing it into that groove and sealant applied over that. All services, drains, drainage drains or other necessary items required to be in place prior to roofing commences shall be completed in all respects, including grouting. Area shall be cleared and made dry. All services, drains or other necessary items required to be in place to prior to roofing commences shall be completed in all respects, including grouting. All shall be cleared and made dry, means it shall be completely done, nothing left before we start roofing. Company inspection or whatever you can say, that's the inspection, for formal inspection. Now what we talk of lightweight foam concrete. Now our is ready, scabbled, cleaned, cleared, everything done. All plinths laid, everything done, you can say. These quantities respecting producing foam concrete are indicative only. Actual mix design shall be included by subcontractor applicator. Lightweight screed using a special foam concrete shall be laid into following mix design to produce a density of 650 to 750 kilogram per cubic meter. What is ratio? Approximate it is, not necessarily you follow it. It depends on the science you design it. Sand and cement 1:1. Cement 350 kilogram per cubic meter in 7 bags. Sand 350 kilogram per cubic meter. You have to wait, right? You can say 7 bags of cement and whatever you can say your sand weight and same kilogram per cubic meter. So this is 370, these two materials. Then water, it says 210 liters per cubic meter, which means if you take, you can say 210 is big one, of course. If you take only cement, 350 kilograms, so this is about, I think, 60%. 60% is water cement ratio here. 0.6, it is 0.6 water cement ratio in this case. And foaming agent is 1.2 liter per cubic meter. 1.2 liter per cubic meter. This is 1.2 liter per cubic meter. Per cubic meter density is 750 kilogram, let us say. 750 kilogram, and this is 1.2 liter. So you can say it's too small. Foaming agent, like injection it is. Then we can say ingredients shall be mixed using a mechanical mixer, an aerator and a pump. Ingredients shall be mixed using a mechanical mixer, an aerator and a pump. Surfaces to be laid with screed shall be formed using mortar dabs or points or profiles to define profile to 1% slope or 1.25% slope. 1.25 I think is better, or if you want to give 1.5, you can give 1.5 also, no problem. It means if flow, you can say in some case water goes towards, and distance is 10 meters say, so in 10 meters you have to see what 1% or 1.5% is. In 10 meters it is 0.1 meter, that's 10 centimeters. If 1% and 15 centimeter, if it's 1.5%, so it's not big deal. Your profile should be ready. Foam concrete screed shall be laid in 2 layers to avoid settlement. Second layer shall be laid when first layer has dried out, followed by forming smooth finish to required falls in gross falls. Second layer shall be laid when first layer has dried out, followed by forming smooth finish to required falls and gross falls. Company inspection conducted colors, that's okay. Completed screed shall be scoured with fresh water for 2 days and thereafter left for 1 day to dry out. A cement sand angle All right, now say you can say second layer we laid, then first layer is dried out, and then we have to leave it for 1 day. Okay, company inspection will then complete streets will cure with finished water for 2 days and thereafter left for 1 day to dry out. All cement is cement sand angle fillet, 50 by 50 triangular cross section shall be formed all directional changes before laying waterproofing membrane. A coat of bituminous primer shall be applied to all proposed surfaces. So bitumen primer. Once dried, placing waterproofing membrane shall be commenced with full torching. Once dried, placing waterproofing membrane shall be commenced with by full torching over prime screed, allowing 100 mm wide side and end overlaps. 100 mm wide side and end overlaps. Torching is applicable in non-hazardous areas, locations where no danger from fire breaks out exists. Cold applied membrane shall be included in hazardous located works. Dressing shall be carried out over angle fillet. Dressing shall be carried out over angle fillet. And upstands properly terminating into preformed grooves by tugging membrane into grooves. Now, let's say dressing we have done, and these, angle fillets have been laid up to stands properly. Dressing shall be carried out over angle fillet and up stands properly, terminating into preformed grooves by tugging membrane into grooves, as well as rainwater outlets and around penetrations. Now, application on AC foundation, which you have already done, laid and upstand, shall be carried out according to details, which maybe we have details now. Exposed vertical surfaces of membrane, exposed vertical surfaces of membrane shall be protected by applying flashing membrane. MGP is written, but doesn't matter, it's metal galvanized, it's a metallic, by flashing and membrane, 300 mm girth, mineral surface finished, mineral surface placed, and slaked, ultraviolet resistant, tossed over main membrane and tucked into grooves as specified, as aforesaid. Now, application on which definition is exposed vertical surfaces of membrane shall be protected by applying MGP, flashing membrane. MGP is a membrane, remember? Flashing membrane, apply flashing membrane. That's for protection of the surface of membrane. And this flashing is 300 mm girth, mineral surface finished, and ultraviolet resistant it is, tossed over main membrane and tucked into groove as aforesaid. Application on AC foundation and upstand shall be carried out according to details shown on sketch, shall not include it. Company inspection shall be conducted at ITP site of leak data sites. Whole surface shall be flooded. This water test now. Whole surface now we have done, we have closed all drains, outlets, etc. Whole surface shall be flooded with water. Whole surface shall be flooded with water for a period of 72 hours after plugging in all roof drains. After successful completion of test, water be drained out and membrane left to dry out. Important point. Just 5 minutes, please. Better for you, for me, for everybody. I give you a chance also. This is important one because we should know everything clearly. Maybe you have read this page. It's a very important one for everybody. Too important for everybody. Must be well understood. And I think we should go on for flood. Whole surface. I'm reading point number 16. Whole surface shall be flooded with water. Whole surface shall be flooded with water for a period of 72 hours after plugging in all roof drains. After successful completion of test, water shall be drained out and membrane left to dry. But what is test? That is important. 72 hours. It's flooding in. You put maybe 20 or 30 mm of maybe a little more layer of water. Of course, that can't be uniform because it's sloping one. So minimum 30 to 40 mm at highest point, and we flood and wait for 72 hours because we have blocked all outlets. And we have to make sure that there's no leakage seen from ceilings, from soffits. That's point here because what? Because surface has been leaked. This membrane has been leaked. If there's some error in membrane, that can be inspected. And if there is no leakage of water observed from below, or there is no damage seen to waterproofing membrane, then we can say, okay, fine, then you can drain out this water. After successful completion of test, water put in for water tightness test shall be drained out and roofing membrane left to dry out. We have then polystyrene, extruded polystyrene. Extruded polystyrene, which is heavy duty, and it's like insulation boards. Extruded polystyrene insulation boards, you can say panels, you know what I'm talking about, with rebated edges, or you may say for purpose of interlocking. Extruded polystyrene insulation boards with rebated edges. That is 50 mm thickness of this board. 50 mm thick shall be laid over dry membrane, ensuring all areas are properly covered. Membrane of Terram, this is like geotextile, it may be that membrane with 100 mm overlaps. Its trade name is Terram. If you forget that, membrane, just have membrane, 100 mm overlap shall be laid over top of insulation board. All small and light precast pedestals. Now we have all small and light precast pedestals, foundations for cable trays, pipe supports, etc. that we did provided shall be loosely laid over filter membrane. Means light precast pedestals, foundations for cable trays, pipe supports, whichever way light. If some shall be laid over filter membrane. Company or inspection shall be conducted and by manufacturer's representative too, because that is a party for warranty, and all coordination made. Then a warranty for specified period of 10 years. Warranty for specified period of 10 years requires to be issued, shall be issued by specialist contractor, applicator, according to contract requirement, because that's vendor takes responsibility for successful performance of this waterproofing membrane for 10 years. Concrete pavers, now this is over, means we have to geotextile, and now we have to provide finishing touch to this. Now flooring, you can say flooring like concrete pavers, flagstones you may call them, or pavers you may call them, in form of precast concrete. Tiles, that is 400 mm into 400 mm and 40 mm thick, shall be laid loose over PVC tile pads. PVC tile pads to be provided at all intersections and at corners as shown on sketch. Okay, I don't have sketch here anyway. At borders where cut tiles may be required, at borders where cut tiles may be required, gravel nominal size 19 to 38 filling shall be carried out where cut size required can do gravel filling. It's 19 to 38 or you can say 28 Yes, filling shall be 28 nominal shall be carried out and create a good aesthetic. 19 to 38 filling shall be carried out to create a good aesthetic in borders in place of cut tiles. Membrane shall be tugged into groove and sealed with joint seal. Bituminous mastic, plain mill aluminum flashing of required girth was 300 cut and bent to given profile of your curve or fillet bottom. You can say now we see shall be plain mill aluminum profile flashing of required girth, cut and bent to given profile shall be fastened with stainless steel screws above groove, covering and protecting sealant, all according to details, means the seal which is provided in that groove shall be protected by aluminum flashing, plain aluminum flashing of required girth, which is cut and bent to given profile and fastened with stainless steel screws above groove, covering and protecting sealant, all according to details. So that's groove and sealant, where to protect by using aluminum flashing. And what equipment is the median mixer for a lightweight concrete, and we require aerator also, and pump, and whatever attachment documents. So this was your roofing. This is roofing, I had sketch, but at this moment I don't know where it is. Very simple, you can say. It's no need of sketch, actually, just see. Slab is there, scabble slab number 1, scabble it or hackle it, clear now, and then put on that a profile of slope where disposal rainwater outlet is there. You keep minimum 50 thick and keep on highest ones, just give 1.25% slope to 1.5% slope, and in that profile you can concrete, that is lightweight concrete on foam concrete. Method is given here, that foam agent will do it and foaming agent will mix into that. That's laid one, and immediately foam concrete is laid on that and let 2 layers and dry it out. Then angle, you can say angle fillet of 50-50 triangle cross section shall be formed also at all directional changes. Cement sand angle fillet means complete skid shall be cured fresh water for 2 days, and cement sand angle fillet be given 50 by 50 all around. So waterproofing membrane, the coat of bituminous primer shall be applied to proposed surface. Means what it says, I again see what it says. It says ingredients shall be mixed using mechanical mixer, so that's mixing for lightweight concrete, surface to village slopes, we have provided that. Slopes are concrete, scaled foam concrete, and now one layer, second layer, then you can say let it be cured for 2 days, and thereafter let for dry, then fill in the angle fillet, concrete, cement sand angle fillet, a triangular cross section formed at all directional changes. Before laying waterproofing membrane, a coat of bituminous primer on this screed, or you can say lightweight screed, shall apply to all proposed surfaces. Then once it is dried out, waterproofing membrane shall be commenced to be laid on on this by full torching or by cold application, then torching where there's no danger to heat, no danger to fire, otherwise cold applied membrane in hazardous areas, and well dressed or flattened all that, terminating into grooves by tugging membrane into grooves as the inward outlet and around penetrations. The exposed vertical surfaces of membrane shall be protected by applying flashing. You can do that ultraviolet resistant flashing, tossed over bead, and then foundation of stands of AC carried out accordingly. Inspection and whole subshell flooded, and then water test done. That after the completion of test, water shall be dried out. And then polystyrene capped on 50 mm heavy duty extruded polystyrene, and then membrane of terram or style on there. And then I put precast pedestals, foundation, etc. for all small items, and you can say 10 years warranty issued. And we have to provide tile pads on and tiles 40 by 40, 400 by 400, 40 or 50, and then we can say that's done, and whatever surrounding areas of that can be gravelled in. That's behind that. That's behind that, to understand that point. So what we call it, that something is, interesting here. Now, in this case, when we say quality relation, material quality, you can say workmanship quality, mixing quality, performance quality, specification, of course, must be quality. Then we have to design, means 1.5% slope or 1.25% slope, or what depends on roof diagonal distance. Sometimes it may be more, so we can reduce that slope. For example, it is 20 meters, say that's 20 meter path flow. In that case, we may take it, let us say 1% only, because 20 meter gives 20 centimeter, 200 mm. So just to reduce material as well as let it function properly. Overslope is also no good, so you can say design part is there, then construction of this, scabbling of surface, and cleaning that, and then providing slopes, profile, and then doing form concrete itself, mixing of concrete is a quality one, and then how to do all that to write and time constant reliability. There should be reliable roof, means I cannot say once laid waterproof with this sparks after 1 month, 2 months. I think it's the first 10 years warranty in this case. And then thinking, this what his thinking is, and this application also, I said application as well, so we have to be very clear in this point. Now it's ceramic tiles, ceramic floor tiles. Ceramic floor tiles, purpose of this statement is to define procedure that shall be adopted for laying ceramic floor tiles on RCC floor surfaces. RCC floor surfaces. Specifications, whatever it is, and responsibilities are same, means no difference. Finishing engineers is must, all project leader or quality leader, all they have to do their job, they have to themselves arrange materials and everything. So a contractor must be there, of course, for quality work. And if people don't know, otherwise you can do yourself. It's after all finishing item, and care must be taken, a close care must be taken. So responsibilities regarding supervising personnel on site shall be according to project quality plan, and project leaders shall arrange for materials and vendors, or you can say applicators or tilers, and all what is given in specifications will done according to that. And quality people, quality in charge will look after all this, quality controls, and then sign off, and of course finishing engineer following required because of finishing item. Same thing for safety in this case. It's not, it's grinder safety required, you can say, because sometimes you cut tiles as well. You have to take care of HSC, means safety shoes in the overalls, or could be safety glasses and helmets. There is this, and illumination is very important. People shouldn't work in dark, and generally, tile is done internally, and there's cloudy time, it's dark, can't see visibly inside. There is a light, whatever coming, providing that. You can say safety and activities, toolbox stocks. Everybody knows that you have to really find out which toolbox stocks best suited for this. Then illumination, lighting must be there, and then general movement, and especially those working there, and tiling has probably been complete, followed by hardboard cover. Production, yes, cover production is also important. Yes. There's our material is ceramic tiles 2028 or whatever is again 2028 as approved joint filling grout, proprietary material matching shades. Now method we see. Method is long one, we'll go momentarily. We'll go one by one. You read your first yourself, I think it's better. If you can read this, we'll talk of this in 5 minutes. Right? Read this yourself. So laying ceramic tiles by semi-dry method. we say method, laying ceramic tiles by semi-dry method, continuous procedure to lay tiles over cement mortar screen. Area of concrete substrata to be tiled shall be brush cleaned and dampened until absorption ceases. Keep on watering and don't allow uh, water to go out, and let it be, absorption ceases, and then followed by finished floor level establishment by means of dots and rules. You press profile of floor levels, then you can say by means of dots and rules. Application of waterproofing treatment shall be carried out for wet areas. Wet areas means kitchen, toilet, bath, whatever is that. Waterproofing membrane shall be carried out for wet areas. Total thickness of cement tile flooring is 100 mm, which includes 90 mm bedding, 90 mm bedding, screed, one part in that, and 4 pan part mortars bed. So 1 part cement, 4 parts sand. So area be dried out and first of before after absorption is over. Then application of waterproofing is done. This waterproofing membrane is applied. Then total thickness is 100 mm, 90 mm bedding, and otherwise 10 mm thick tiles. And finishing layer shall be 10 mm thick. Okay. Then we say finishing layer shall be 10 mm thick and laid as described below. Mortar for bedding tile shall be 1 part cement, 4 parts sand. By weight. Mortar for bedding tile shall be 1 part cement, 4 parts sand by weight. Mixed dry, semi-dry, mixed semi-dry. Then you can say 1:4 parts and by weight. Mixed semi-dry by mechanical mixer, not too dry, not too wet, with only sufficient water added to give crumbly consistency, which retains its shape. So, mortar for bedding tile shall be 1 part cement, 4 parts sand by weight, mixed semi-dry by mechanical mixer with only sufficient water added to give it crumbly consistency, which retains its shape when squeezed by hand, pertaining to no fluidity. Of course, then you can say mix shall be placed to thickness required by work. You can say mix shall be placed thickness approximately 10 mm greater than that actually required for bed, thoroughly compacted by tamping and drying off to required level with a screed board. Now it's again long statement. 5 minutes, please. Read it, please. Read it. We'll be back. Read it. I think we have studied this. We've gone through this, and I say only sufficient mortar shall be mixed and spread as can be covered with tiles before it attains its initial set. Do not spread everywhere in whole room, only that portion which you can cover on tiling should be done. Then inspection shall be conducted. Slurry consisting of 1 part cement, 1 part sand by volume shall be poured over surface of semi-dry mix, bedding and spread with towel. So one slurry consisting of 1 part cement and 1 part, you can say, sand by volume shall be poured over surface of semi-dry mix, bedding and spread with a towel until it's approximately 2 mm thick. Approximately 2 mm thick, the slurry or surface of semi-dry mix, bedding and spread with the towel until it is 2 mm thick. Dry tiles then laid on slurry and beaten firmly into position with a wooden beater, ensuring a true surface contact between tiles and bedding is formed. Tiles shall be correctly positioned in both directions when these are placed, forming joints using a proprietary tile spacer. That is 1.5 mm for wall tiles, 1.5 mm this joint for wall ties. There's joint width 1.5 mm for wall tiles and 3 mm for floor tiles. Tiles shall neatly and accurately be cut to a close fit where necessary at abutments, around outlets, around outlets, pipes and like other locations. Inspections to be conducted for correct formation of joint alignment and level profile. Tiles shall be laid level or to 1% fall. Tile shall be laid level or to 1% fall in wet areas as may be required. At 1%, I think is no problem. Let 1% fall. Tile shall be laid level or to 1% fall in wet areas. 1% fall. Anyway, 1% is not too much because 5 meters dimension is there. 5,000 millimeters. So how many millimeters? 1%. It's not much. Well, it can be less also. Localized variations in level for a nominally flat floor shall be maximum of plus minus 2 mm variation under 3 meter edge strain. So let's say 2 mm in 3 meters, 2 mm 1 in 150, he said, right? 1 in 150, 1 mm in 150, and you can say under 3 meters edge. So particular care be taken in wet areas to prevent low spots that may promote water pooling. Tolerance in overall level shall not be more than 10 mm. Tolerance in overall level shall not be more than 10 mm from required finishes. Grouting of joints shall be carried out within a period of not less than 24 hours after completion of laying tiles, so to allow grout attach itself firmly to bedding. Movement joints in tiled floors. Unless otherwise indicated on documents, a 10 mm movement joint shall be formed at perimeter of all tile floors and where tiling meets structural features such as columns, machine bases, etc. Where a structural movement joint is provided at base, a movement joint of same width in bedded finish shall be positioned immediately above floor. Movement joint cavities shall extend through combined thickness of finish and bedding mortar, completely filled with and sealed after grouting of normal joints affected with. We require mechanical mixer for mixing mortar, sand measuring box, hand tools, tile cutters, etc. etc. This is what was your ceramic tiles. Building drainage system. Building drainage system. That's the length of this. What's that one? It's not very big. See, there is no sequence on this method. It's just whatever I had to put in that. So don't think of sequence. There's no sequence at all. And whatever item I have, I'll just try to talk and give that one. So sequence is not a question here. It's building drainage system. Building drainage system. Building drainage system. What's that? Purpose of this statement is to define procedure that shall be adopted for installing, testing and commissioning of building drainage system. Specifications and drawings leave that aside. Responsibilities also you can say almost same except survey. So let's say responsibilities regarding supervising personnel according to project approved plan, quality plan, project manager and leaders, all that. They have to arrange our materials, equipment, scaffolding, safety related items, manpower items, direct site engineer, set up plumbing foreman to resort of protections for smooth running of items, and all materials for disciplinary works shall be arranged by them. All working shop drawings shall be prepared and completed. So all permanent materials pertaining to this discipline shall be submitted for approval, and site engineer, etc., project engineer permit for all set out lines. The direct surveyors what to do, site managers, site engineers, project engineers, planning foreman, and coordinator shall direct surveyor for setting out lines and labels in conjunction with project manager, project engineer. So, and surveyor shall be responsible to set out drainage lines and establish bedding levels or invert levels. Bedding level or invert level. Surveyor shall be responsible to set out that. Site people, contractors, site engineer, QC, QA, they shall check all alignments, level according to approved drawings to make sure that all works comply with specification and request inspection. Safety, as usual, nothing specific in this. So let's go further. Materials also, pipes you need, fittings you need, bedding materials you need. Now, what's method? Prior to commencement of drainage works, a time of below grade slab backfill necessary. Before doing grade slab, there may be many items, many locations where pipe is required. So prior to commencement of drainage works, a time of below grade slab backfill necessary, PVC slaves shall be inserted into RCC beams or block walls, depending on dictated by pipe level at building line. Backfill shall be carried out. Backfill shall be carried out in layers and compacted all according to agreed procedures given elsewhere. Pipe route shall be set out by surveyor and checked by others, engineers and quality people. Excavation be carried out in grade, compacted backfill. First we have contact, then we excavate. This is procedure. You can't say, I'll do that. No, first backfill it and then compact it and then, excavation shall be carried out in grade, compacted backfill to trench width and depth. From floor trap location to building external wall, from where pipes shall be embedded beneath external landscape. Proper slope or gradient shall be formed from inlet point at floor trap level to building line calculated for manhole inward level and pipe level at manhole inlet. You know what's manhole inward level, right? After all excavation is carried out for pipe route, all other pipes for area with granular bedding, that is granular bedding 130 mm thick, shall be done, and pipe laid to prepared bedding, and joints made according to manufacturer's specifications or instructions. Alignment shall be corrected to design profile and levels checked. Portion of pipe shall be temporarily anchored to hold down pipe from uplifting during testing. So anchorage shall be provided temporarily to hold the pipe. Of course, inspections to laid pipe shall be conducted according to ITP requirement. Water or air test as practical. Water or air test as practical shall be conducted according to specifications and approval granted. Alright, let's say alignment shall be corrected to design profile, levels checked, portion of pipe shall be temporarily anchored, contact inspection shall be made, water air test shall be anchored, water air test as practical shall be conducted according to specifications and approval granted, and if leakage is within acceptable limits of pipe passes successfully defined air pressure. Similarly, all other pipes shall be tested. After test is successful, granular backfill. After test is successful, granular backfill shall be carried out. Granular backfill, according to specifications, up to 300 mm top of pipe. Up to 300 mm top of pipe. Similarly, all pipes shall be fixed from WC seats to building line, further ahead to manhole and vertical stacks be provided on walls for vent pipe system. Vertical stack shall be clamped into walls according to standard details. These pipes shall be true in plumb. And joints filled according to both manufacturer's specifications and contract specifications. Rainwater as well as a condensate discharge. From terrace shall be collected using given slope 1% to 1.25%, to roofing system graded on foam concrete course, to outlets provided at locations shown on contract as well as shop drawings and standard details. This discharge shall be collected at these rainwater units. This discharge shall be collected at these rainwater units and further discharged into vertical stacks of rainwater pipes fixed in plumb and connected to French or as specified drains. Alright, these external pipes shall be laid to specified grade. Hold on. This discharge shall be collected at these rainwater units and further discharged into vertical stacks of rainwater pipes fixed in plumb and connected to French or as specified drains to be constructed to standard details through pipes located below external landscape. These external pipes shall be laid to specified grade from building line bent to outlet end into French or as specified drains or excavated and prepared concrete bedding 150 mm thick or blinding 75 mm thick or 100 mm thick granular bedded So what it says, these external pipes shall be specified grade and bent. Building line from building line to outlet in different drains, prepared concrete bedding 150 mm, excavated and prepared concrete bedding 50 mm thick or blinding 75 mm thick, and then over 150 mm thick granular bedding for hard landscape portion, for pipe portion and soft landscape portion shall be carried out by sand after initial testing and approval surrounding concrete 150 mm. Alright, we can say now, for pipe portion, soft landscape portion, bedding shall be carried out by sand after initial testing and approval. Surrounding concrete 150 thick shall be laid. Backfill shall be carried over surrounding concrete as well as our soft fill material, all according to specifications, and inspection shall be conducted. We require tools, testing apparatus, inspection, testing, floor screed. Now we go to floor screed. I think it may not be very big. Let's see how we can do it. Floor screed. This statement is aimed to propose a procedure to be adopted to lay floor screed for vinyl tile and epoxy floor finishes. Vinyl tile and epoxy floor finishes. Ground floor plan, first floor plan specifications. Responsibilities are same, there's nothing specific in this as well. Safety and all that, start call, toolbox, stocks, operation concern, supervision and all that material, cements, wash, bonding agents, water. What's that? Let's see. I think it's not very long. Let us see how it works now. It works. Cement, wash sand, burning agent, water. Laying floor screed by semi-dry method. Semi-dry method. All rooms, all rooms shall be laid in full area in one go. All rooms. Unnecessary, yes. Proposed designated areas shall be laid according to location of joints as shown on shop drawings. Okay. Proposed designated area shall be laid according to location of joints as shown on shop drawing. Separately, either scabbling of concrete surface shall be carried out if so required for proper bonding with hardened surface or etching surface if so agreed by client or company. So scabbling could be done or you can say etching. You know what's etching? Maybe many of you don't know. 10% hydrochloric acid is added into water, and that is, you can say, etching requires 10% concentration hydrochloric acid, 10% concentration hydrochloric acid to be mixed with water for forceful application on RCC or concrete surface, followed by immediate washing out by water, which process roughens concrete surface. 10% HCl, you can use it under force by mixing water, just leave on concrete and then wash away immediately. After, you'll find roughened surface and latex removed. Border portion to be applied with etching or paper tapped, can't see. Border be tapped, paper tapped for joining protection from acid scoring effect. Benefit of etching is that it avoids scabbling or hacking. Concrete surface be cleared of all loose particles and cleaned with using hard wire brush to ensure achievement of sufficient roughness to receive screed. Level up to which floor screeds will be laid shall be profiled by using mechanical leveling points with steel pipes. Points with steel pipes to maintain levels, so a complete compartment is given a proper leveling profile. Cleaned area shall be soaked with water for 24 hours prior to application of screed. Contractors' inspection, etc. shall be conducted for examination pertaining to preparatory works for ready to pour compartment. Application. After preparation of area, alternate bays or steps. After preparation of area, alternate bays or steps of 1500 mm, 1.5 meter width are as sized on sites made up with all levels, duly soaked in water for 24 hours and ready for pouring. Prepared surface shall be spread with cement slurry 1:1, 1 part cement, 1 part sand mixed with mixed quality water. Mortar for screed shall be mixed semi-dry. Mortar for screed shall be mixed semi-dry by a mechanical mixer. Mortar for screed shall be mixed semi-dry by mechanical mixer with allowed only a sufficient water added to give just a crumbly consistency which retains its shape when squeezed by hand, permitting only no fluid. So just take in hand, retain. You will take it will not go further, not far further. And squeeze by hand, no fluidity. One layer application with 1:2.5 cement, screed, sand mortar, 1:2.5 cement, screed, sand mortar, and one layer application. That's it. Mix shall be placed in one layer, progressively to a thickness approximately 10 mm, greater than that actually required. thoroughly compacted by tamping and drawn off to mark level with a skid board. In case thickness of skid is more than 75 mm, 8 mm tar reinforcing bars shall be placed in both directions at spacing of 300 mm center to protect cracks formation. After compacting layers of mortar, surface shall be finished by steel power float. After compacting layer of mortar, surface shall be finished by steel power float to achieve a smooth level surface ready to receive vinyl tiles or epoxy painting. Coating floors, finishes and then covered with polythene membrane or immediate curing. Power float shall be applied only when finished layer is set and dried enough to allow equipment operation. Adequate illumination shall be arranged for application of power float and other steel trowel finishing activities. Finished surface shall be permanently cured by adding water-soaked Hessian after a few hours of finishing and recovered with polythene sheet. Surface shall be kept wet for a period of 3 days and then protected with hardboard. Spread over till file. Then you can say surface shall be kept wet for a period of 3 days and then protected with hardboard. Spread over till floor finishes are applied over surface. That's with vinyl floor or epoxy floor finishes. Throughout above operations, contact inspections will be conducted. And prior to full-scale commencement of skid preparation, a mock-up sample shall be produced on site in presence of all representatives and agreement pertaining to state procedures to carry out skid above quality control each. And mechanical mixer we require, wheelbarrows we require, masons tools we require, power float we require, like that. What we have studied today. So we can just go through, we have studied like this. We started with block work, I am sure. Yes, we started with block work. We went through block work. Then we understood what's block work, what's its strength, what's cavity ties, what is other tiles, test of blocks, then we say methods. Then we can say we try to learn this is what block is it and how. In the other one chapter it says non-plant buildings. It says rendering, plastic and rendering. We learned about what's the past, what's the rendering, very important finishing item. And then after that we started roofing system, inverted roofing system actually it is, waterproofing system. And we learned accessible water systems of concrete, of slate, waterproofing, laid and joist style laid on that. Our safety taken on that. So this roofing system is not simply roof. And then it's a laying ceramic floor tiles we did. The building drainage system. And then of course we studied floor screed just now. This is the concrete like blocks. We will take concrete like blocks later. And road blocks to driveways. Like that we'll take care of this, alright, then we'll put it like this. Okay, now you can say quality design, construction, method statements, etc. we can say that's this important one, of course, the important one. Just a minute, you can read this one. There's this one. So I think it's time now that people must understand what is quality, what is analysis, what is synthesis, what is thinking, what's contemplation. It's time for that. We should have application mind. Application mind is very important, which means contemplation mind and thinking mind and synthesis mind, analysis mind, reliability mind, risk mind, cost mind, time mind, method, statements, construction, design, quality. All this, we must rely on this. Otherwise we do little, you can say. All these statements supporting